All right, you are going to love this. We're diving into a story of corporate revenge that is it's a work of art. It's so quiet, so perfectly calculated. Forget about shouting matches or storming out. This is about building a beautiful, intricate trap and just waiting for ego to do the rest.
So what do you do in a situation like this, right? You get pushed out for someone whose only qualification is their last name. Well, this story is all about how the deadliest weapon isn't a loud explosion. It's a quiet little sentence, buried deep in the fine print that nobody bothered to read.
And this line right here from the story, man, it just sets the scene perfectly. Can you just picture that? A boardroom so tense, so thick with things left unsaid, that the silence itself feels like a physical event. That's our starting point.
Okay, let's set the stage. The whole mess kicks off with a classic corporate power play, nepotism. The boss, a guy named Carl, decides his nephew is the future of the company. Which means, of course, that the person who actually built the department's foundation is suddenly shown the door.
I mean, just look at the matchup here. On one side, you've got Emily, 12 years in the trenches. She literally built the company's risk and compliance systems from scratch. And on the other side, Brent. His resume is basically boss's nephew and Harvard MBA. He's here to disrupt, which we all know is just corporate speak for I'm about to break a bunch of stuff I don't understand.
And this is the moment, the absolute jaw-dropping disrespect. Carl actually says out loud that his nephew is more qualified than the veteran who built his entire division. And he says it with this swagger, like he just delivered the killer line in an argument and is waiting for applause. Unbelievable. So, after that massive slap in the face, Emily's out. She gets fired. But here's the thing. She doesn't fight it. She doesn't scream. She's just calm. She signs the papers. They think she's defeated, but really, she's just winding up the clock on a time bomb she planted years ago.
And that leads us to the big question, doesn't it? In their big rush to get their guy in place, what was the one tiny little detail they just completely blew past?
And there it is, the weapon of choice. Not some angry email chain, not a lawsuit, just a few lines of text. A little landmine buried on page 73 of a massive contract, just waiting for someone to step on it.
Now, this is the beautiful part. This isn't just some boilerplate legal text. This is what's known as a key person risk clause. The client's entire deal was dependent on a specific expert's oversight, and the clause is explicitly legally bound to her. Her name, Emily Arcane Dyer, is baked into the contract. Firing her wasn't just an HR move, it was a flagrant breach of their single biggest agreement.
So, with Emily out of the picture, Brent, the great disruptor, rolls up his sleeves. And his big plan for innovation? Well, it pretty much just involves hitting the delete key on everything Emily ever built. He immediately starts tearing down the very guardrails that kept the company safe.
I mean, just look at this path of destruction. He's not just making little changes. He's systematically ripping out every single safety net. He calls the workflows that saved the company millions of dollars bureaucratic fat. The guy's literally trying to fly a plane while tearing the wings off. Oh, and the best part? While he's setting the whole place on fire, he's on LinkedIn posting stuff like this. It's the absolute peak of arrogance, right? He's celebrating the chaos, totally clueless that the results about to show up are going to be a 5-alarm dumpster fire.
So all of Brent's innovations start to cause some issues. And it starts with a little whisper, a simple question from the client that sets the first domino toppling. And that question finds its way to the only person in the world who knows exactly what it means.
Look at this email. It is absolutely brutal in its simplicity. She doesn't rant, she doesn't explain, she just points them to the loaded gun. One sentence. That's all it took. It's the corporate equivalent of whispering, checkmate. And this is the moment the trap springs shut. Carl and Brent walk into a meeting thinking they're going to talk about some minor shipping delay, but the client's chief compliance officer just cuts them off. He's not interested in logistics. He's interested in one thing, and he says the magic words, Section 11.4. You can just imagine the blood draining from their faces. They know.
And there's the price tag for not reading your contracts. $150 million. Their biggest account, more than half their yearly revenue. Poof, gone. Not under review, not flagged for discussion. Frozen solid. All because they fired the one person holding the whole thing together.
So now, we get to the good part, the fallout. The bomb has gone off, and the shockwave is immediate. While her old company is absolutely imploding, Emily is having a much, much better day.
You just have to love the contrast here. It's perfect. On one side, you have total panic, emergency board meetings. Carl is blowing up Emily's phone, begging her to call back. And Brent, the genius, has no idea what's even happening. And on the other side, there's Emily, chilling on her patio, drinking coffee, and fielding a job offer from the very client that just nuked her old company. It is just poetic justice. So, what do we learn from this absolute masterclass in corporate warfare? It's a simple 4-step process. First, you become indispensable. You build something so critical they can't function without it. Second, you literally write yourself into the legal blueprints of the company. Then, step 3, you just get out of the way and let their own arrogance and incompetence light the fuse. And finally, you just sit back and wait for the phone to ring. Not from your old boss, but from your next one. It's not about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being the smartest.